Hey guys, Ron Musgraves, Pressure Washing Institute Contractors First. I am here talking with Robert. And guys, we are going to be talking basically, it's budget season. Robert, do you have a definition for budget season so they understand what we're talking about? We're not talking about our own budgets within our own companies. What are we really talking about? You nailed it this afternoon. By the way, this guy nailed this thing this afternoon. Run it down with them again. Everybody needs to hear that.
The definition would be chaos. I mean, to be honest with you, budget season. Look, it's a crazy time, right? Budget season is when commercial property managers are going through and they are putting out their RFPs to get proposals for their next year's budgets for all of their services. The interesting part about that is budget season falls in July for the main part of budget season is in July. That's when it is the busiest, the craziest for everybody, right? Typically, they want their bids in no later than August because they have to submit it to owners and it needs to go through approval for them to have finalization by December for contracts to be signed. The funny part about that, though, is a lot of the government entities, their fiscal years are July to July, right? And so when you're bidding on commercial government contracts that will release blanket purchase orders or whatever it might be, they need to be finalized before July. So June, July are always crazy months, right? Like we've been dealing with school districts and government entities, city municipalities, all that kind of stuff. And then, we've been getting RFPs already for, I don't know, maybe the past month and a half, but it's just getting busier every day, right? We're getting more and more RFPs. The hard part about it is, oddly enough, they try and bully you into, hey, you need to have this bid turned in within like 2 days. So budget season is a crazy thing. It's crazy for the vendors, also crazy for the property managers because they're not just putting out pressure washing for bid, right? They're putting window cleaning, landscaping, parking lot striping, all of the services that fall under those CAMs are going out for bid.
And I think people don't understand this, Phil, thing, and I want to define this because, you went from government to property managers, and people don't realize that property managers are in government entities. They're inside of government entities. 20, 30 years ago, they called them different people. But technically now they realize they're just property managers. Like there might be a property manager inside of a municipality that takes care of all the fire stations. There might be that takes care of all the school systems, or just parts of the school systems. They maybe some manage inside the building, some manage outside the buildings. You know what I mean? And so you've got to also know when you're contacting these people to look towards, providing them with a 2027, because this is where guys get all screwed up too. They think that we're going to put this thing in today and we're going to call them tomorrow and they're going to get us to work. That's not how it works. No. We're working on everything right now for 2027 budget.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of people, I want to clarify that a lot of people don't understand that. And then the other thing that I want to clarify, when you're talking about the different types of property managers and budgets, you've got HOA managers, which are homeowner paid funds into budgets. You're talking about CAM operators, which are fees that are paid in above and beyond all profits and rents. And then you're talking about government entities. That's us, the taxpayers, paying into that budget money. Where they would get the great thing that nobody realizes about those three that I just mentioned, they're talking about putting money in somebody else's hands, and the only thing these people exist to do is to spend the money. That is their only reason that they exist. And lots of people don't understand that. Because there's a big difference between a manager that works for an apartment complex and that works community management into an HOA. Oh, yeah. That money comes out of the owner of the complex's funds, where the HOA manager is coming out of a group fund that the homeowners really, they're never going to miss because it's allotted. Oh, and by the way, Robert, I don't know if you know this or not, but CAI, Community Association Institute,
Yep.
says there's an average of a 5-year reserve on community management. What does that mean? It means that they've got 5 years of washing funds in the bank.
Well,
That's
the other
crazy.
thing too, and don't hold me to this, but I'm like 95% sure that they're legally obligated to spend that money for their budget for that year.
Can I tell you why a community manager is, in case you don't know? I don't know if you know this or not. They're a nonprofit corporation inside. And if they keep the money, guess what they have to do? They have to pay taxes. And they don't want to pay taxes on that money. And that's why they're allowed to have the reserve money that they don't pay taxes. But whatever money they told the government as a tax exempt corporation, they have to spend it. And that's why they call you in November and go, what, Robert? Hey, I've got 50,000 on this property and I've got to get rid of it. And people don't believe that happens, but I know you've had it happen.
It happens a lot with us for the Christmas light stuff. Most of our Christmas light business is HOAs. It's crazy that these neighborhoods go nuts with the holiday light stuff. And I've been watching over the past few years, a lot of these washers are adding holiday lights to their service, which I think is great, especially for people that are in super seasonal markets, where they have all this downtime. I think holiday lighting is an important asset to the company to be able to keep their guys busy, keep revenue flowing in. And HOAs are a great way to go about that. But I'm not here to talk about Christmas lights. I'm here to talk about budgets and some demos. But I think right now, if you guys aren't getting in front of commercial property managers, HOA managers, even the government entities, somebody else is, and you're missing out on a lot of opportunity.
Tons, right?
Yeah. I mean, LinkedIn, a LinkedIn message can go a long way. A post can go a long way. Cold calling, cold emailing, attending these events like CAI. They have, monthly events that you can go to. They have all these things that you can go to get in front of these people. But it's crazy to see that a lot of people just seem fucking lazy and they don't want to go.
Well, I think talking about customer associations, that's a whole nother video, right? I mean, what I mean? People just, they don't realize, you're right, how important it is to get out there and get in front of customers in that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if you were to never get in front of your customer, which I think would be extremely dumb, and you had one time to get in front of them, now is the time. June and July are the times to get in front of your commercial customers. Period. Because they are getting their budgets put together, and it might not be an immediate thing, but next year it could be huge. What did you just send me?
I sent you a link, but it doesn't matter. It does not matter. If you click on it, you probably get lost. Well, talk to them a little bit about, this morning, Robert dropped a video that was phenomenal because he talked about the budget situation, and then he talked about how important the demos are. Run this down, how you perceive the demo to help you move the sale forward, because that was the big part of what you told people out there. A lot of guys out there, they're afraid to go out there and do a 30-second demo. You're going to clean an entire place. Tell them how you lay that out. And here's the funniest thing. I don't think you ever had, I think you were trying to say you were batting 1,000 when anybody ever accepted you cleaning a property and you did it, did you not close it?
Yeah, we always get it for sure. But and here's the thing that I wanna preface really quick, because part of the stuff that I had talked about in that video was having a conversation with Carlos Gonzalez in probably it was probably like around 2017, 2016, 2017, almost a decade ago. Anyways, I would go and do, like, at a gas station. Let's say I was trying to get a gas station. I would go and do one parking spot right in the middle of like the parking dock of all the parking spots, right? And that was my demo. That was me trying to get to stand out, which I think is a really good way to go about it, especially in the beginning. Now, I want to start with this. If you do not have permission to be on site doing a demo, do not do it. You might disagree with that, but me personally, from my experiences, I have watched people get cease and desist letters. I have watched people get threatened with lawsuits over it because they are not covered under the insurance policy. There's no COI as listing the tenant or property owner as an additionally insured. And if something happens while they're on site, it's a big deal. So what we like to do is we always like to get approval to be on site and do a demo. And so, for example, I'll go in, talk to somebody, say, hey, I know you're getting your property cleaned. I love that. I just want to come show you what we can do for you. I'll come clean your entire place for free. I would prefer to do it directly after your current vendor just cleaned, because I'll show you the actual difference that we can really make. And I mean, we're the best cleaning company in town. Nobody can touch our work.
I think that if I'm going to clean an entire property, you can bet I'm always going to get full permission. There's no doubt.
Yeah. Well,
but
and I'm also not going to go clean an entire property if it's just one property.
I've been trespassed. I had a developer here that probably owns a huge. You own 15% of the retail in Phoenix, Arizona. You own a lot of real estate, right? And I was a younger, dumb Ron, and I was hungry, and he wasn't paying attention to us, because I always tell people this: if you're ever going to do an unsolicited proposal, because I love unsolicited proposals, if you're ever going to do a demo and you're not going to ask permission, if it's unsolicited, we're not going to go and do 10 properties. That's a waste of time. You only need 1 or 2 properties to get their attention. Well, we did like 50 of this guy's. And of course he got a little pissed off, and he basically trespassed us. But I agree with you. If you're working with somebody and you've got a opportunity, because when you have an unsolicited proposal, right, it goes to them. And the minute you engage talking to them and they ask you to do something else, take a look at something else, or do something else, it's no longer unsolicited. That's what you wanted. You wanted it to turn into a requested. Now they're asking you to do something for them. And if you say, obviously, once you're working with a current client or you have their attention, you don't go and do something on their property without their knowledge. I completely agree with that. There's no doubt in my mind that will get you fired, okay, if you show up on their property and do something without their permission. Because like you said, you're not insured on their property. You have to have all that proper stuff in play. But like you were saying, getting their permission, then going and doing it, and then you're telling me that if it's not 100%, I know it's high. Because if you're at that point where they're willing to accept that, I'll add this thing into this. I always teach the guys I'm teaching. Every property manager, and you know this, Robert, has a problemed area, right? They all have that. And usually it's a Chinese restaurant, rear doorway dumpster, right? I mean, that's usually what it is. And they're going to give you that, and they're going to say, yeah, my guys, this is a tough thing. They couldn't get it to where anybody was happy with it. That's a beautiful thing, because we know how to do that, right? We're going to get that thing looking as new as it can look. And then you're going to close it, because The minute that they see the videos, the minute they see the photos, they're going to be like, wow, no one in 10 years has ever been able to make that place look that good or smell as good, and then, from there, like you said, it's a close. You're going to close it because they like what they see. You've achieved what somebody else couldn't. I don't think people realize how many contractors are out there that are, I hate to say this, but substandard, fantasy washing, not doing the job that they think they can do. Because I know you're not this guy. It probably drives you nuts when somebody says, well, why didn't you remove all the bubble gum on that Dollar General? Well, they didn't pay me to remove the bubble. Well, what did they pay you to do? They paid you to leave the oil in the bubble gum, but you rinsed it with a wand. I mean, pressure washing is actually cleaning the surface. And I always try to tell people this, as you'll eat off of it. Because if you really clean the surface with 3,500 PSI, 200-degree heat water, and you clean it thoroughly, you shouldn't be afraid to eat off of it because it should be not only clean, but sanitized. And I always try to tell people, if you're not giving that type of service to somebody, then you're really not pressure washing. You're giving them some glorified hose maintenance. And they can get that with a porter guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends. At least out here, it could be a little bit different, right? And it's been a constant battle for us trying to educate the client, because you have to understand what they're used to, because they don't know anything about pressure washing, right? They don't understand.
They get on the phone and they say
they don't understand the difference between like a real pressure washing and just somebody going through and spraying a shopping center down with a wand. And a lot of times that's what these property managers are getting for a super cheap price. So that's another reason on why these demos work. And then lunch and learns with educating the client on what our service actually is a really big deal. And so, like, for example, I had a meeting with a hotel last week. We're doing a demo tonight, I think. Yeah, I think it's tonight. And, I was asking them, hey, what kind of service are you getting? How often? And they're like, oh, somebody's out here every other week. But we can never tell a difference when they come. And I'm like, okay, well, they're probably just coming down and spraying it down with a wand. Have you ever seen them? And I kind of started asking, like, they said they've seen them. I'm like, okay, have you ever seen them use this kind of tool? And they're like, no, they definitely don't use that. It's like, okay, well, now I understand what they're doing. And so instead of me just sending them a proposal, I actually insisted, because they were already interested in our services, right? But I've been told, Ron, I can't tell you how many times, we're the most expensive power washing company in Vegas. And I insisted, I said, hey, instead of me just sending you a proposal, why don't I come out and do an area for you for free? You pick the area, we'll do as much as you want. Let me come do an area for free, show you what we actually do. And then we can talk numbers, and we can talk frequencies, and we can talk all of that stuff, because I can tell you right now, we're going to be more expensive than whoever you're using, but the service is going to be apples to oranges. And they were all on board. They were like, yep, we understand. We're willing to pay more. We just want it done right. And so, there's one tonight.
I don't think people understand that if you're working for somebody that is hiring and has these $1 million budgets, and they're hiring all these purveyors, right? They're hiring the landscaping guys, they're hiring the lighting guys. When the person that hired them, who is the owner of the property, actually shows up, or the investment group, and it doesn't look good, what happens? They get fired. And I always try to tell people think property managers are always looking for the cheapest guy. They're not. They're looking for competence. They're looking for people that are going to respond to problems and issues. They're looking to people that are going to answer the phone when somebody calls and they have a problem. That's important to them, because when they do, we all know this, they have inspections, right? And that's when the ownership groups are coming out on site, and they would rather not be in a my pants are down situation. I got caught with my pants down. They would like to have the ease in their mind that, Robert's on my property. I know if Mr. Weinsteinkel shows up in an emergency to look at his property, we're going to be okay. We're not going to be in a situation where we got caught not doing something we were supposed to be doing. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, I think it's kind of funny. People definitely rely on us for like those emergency situations because they know the kind of service that we provide. I just wanted to piggyback off of something you said is like, they're not always looking for the cheapest person. They're looking for competence, but also you have to remember you have to be within their budget. Regardless, their budget is their budget, right? Like, and typically the average over property management is a 5% increase per year. So
yeah, but
if
you also
$100,000 budget and you come in at $200,000, doesn't matter how good you are, you're not going to get it.
Yeah, but you know what though? I'll tell you something because I know this. I can get budgets moved because I've done it. Okay, it's not easy. You're right. It's not an easy thing, and we're 25 minutes, just so you know. But I will tell you this: sometimes you can get the budget moved, and the money's all about allocating the money in a different spot. Okay,
Correct.
Because they've got a porter guy running around with a bucket and a mop that they're paying $1,000 a month that's not doing anything, and they're paying the pressure washing guy $400, and they should be paying the pressure washing guy $1,400 and getting it done the right way. You got to be careful of that because a lot of times it's not that they don't have the budget. They need to look to reallocate some of the money from somewhere else. It's funny because when you talk about Fortune 500 companies, do you know that I've had marketing dollars pay for the cleaning, and they justify it because it's their brand. You understand? So
yeah, I've actually had the opposite happen to me before too. I've had situations come up where some stuff happened on a property or whatever, and they pulled from my budget.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had a blanket PO. I don't know, it was probably like an $80,000 purchase order or something along the lines of that, and we had probably used 50 of it, and they pulled the other 30 to go towards something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, emergency happens, right? They're out of.
So you're right. It can definitely happen both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you want to say in closing, Robert? I mean, you nailed it. I want to drop that video. If Robert didn't have the energy that he had this morning because it's the end of the day, but you had a lot of energy this morning, man. That video was knocked out of the park. I also want to mention, we'll put the link to your commercial group in here too, guys. If you're interested in more of the good stuff that Robert's got, join his commercial group because he's been dropping a video just about every morning.
Yeah. Go do demos.
Are you doing that intentionally or is that accidental?
What?
Your videos?
Dude, I've been doing that for like 2 years.
Okay. Well, he's dropping videos every morning, guys. So You guys want to definitely get in that group. We'll drop the link here below. You guys can get in that. It's you, man. Close it up. I'm out.
It was just a quick conversation talking about some budgets and some demos. I mean, if you guys want some contracts next year, get in front of some commercial property managers and then go do some demos. It'll land you some work. The double demo from Front Nine Restoration, double legal, then groundskeeper. It'll make you money every time. Every time.
And then I've got only one sales tip, guys. Do not call me. Do not call Robert to ask when you're supposed to follow up on a proposal. The person you're supposed to ask is the person you submitted the proposal to. That's the end. Hey guys, Ron Musgraves, Pressure Washing Institute. We're out.